Thanks for coming. My name is Sandra Finlay. I have a message regarding the census. The census started out as being a head count of people in the nation in order to establish boundaries for elections. It has evolved to become much more than that. As of 2003, it became known that work on the Canadian census was outsourced to Lockheed Martin Corporation. Lockheed Martin Corporation is pretty well the American military industrial complex. Starting in 2003, 2004, thousands of people got together and protested against that outsourcing of work to Lockheed Martin Corporation. A lot of it has to do with their record in the world. They were a key reason why the Americans launched an illegal war of aggression on Iraq. They have atrocities lined up related to Abu Ghraib, torture in prisons, and other things like similar things. When the census contracts were awarded to Lockheed Martin, they were in contravention of Canadian and international law. The weapons that they manufacture have been landmines, more recently cluster munitions, both of those, as I say, illegal under Canadian and international law. They now do the unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as drones. Those are remote controlled airplanes, military airplanes, that drop bombs on people in other countries. It started out, Yemen was the first place where they were dropping those bombs from drones. They also are using them in Iraq, Afghanistan, and you may have heard the news where recently they deployed them over Libya. So if you look at Lockheed Martin and you say, okay, why is it that our tax money is being used to enrich them? Do we have any criteria by which we give money to different corporations? Would you, as a citizen, be awarded a government contract if you had a lengthy record of criminal offenses, if you had been charged and convicted for things like fraud in government contracts, bribery, etc.? So that is the kind of corporation that Lockheed Martin is. If you were an individual, there's no way that you would be allowed to have a government contract. But here we have a situation where people can get together in a corporate form and be irresponsible, absolved of all responsibility for the morality or immorality of their actions. So one of the questions I have is whether you can have a moral society if you don't stand up and say, no, we are not going to collaborate with people who are clearly in the business of doing what is wrong in the world, creating hatred in the world, and so on. I think the answer to that is, if the government is not going to act morally, then it is up to citizens to insist and do whatever is necessary to see that they do. So my protest against Lockheed Martin Corporation's involvement in life in Canada, which is an increasingly, we're welcoming into our midst these military contractors. We're the ones that are paying the taxes that allow them to get rich, and that's what they do. They make money on killing people, on destroying the infrastructure of other countries, and you get to the point where the economy becomes dependent upon having these war machines as part of your country. Your country has to go to war in order to keep the economy pumping. That's what you have happening in the United States. We do not need it happening in Canada. So what I did, along with thousands of other people, is at the time of the 2006 census was to refuse to cooperate. So we're in a situation where we need to work together to stop these things from happening. It can't be just a few people. We all need to shoulder part of that burden. So the question is then what to do when your census form is delivered to you. Some of you will have received it already. It's coming in different forms. Some people are given an access code and requested to go online to fill out a census form or to telephone a phone number and their census form will be sent to them. Other people have received the actual census form in the mail. It's my understanding that the long census form, which is the one with all the detailed information that you're required to give, that is coming. It is, and it probably will be referred to as the National Household Survey, not the census form. So there's some confusion there. There's no confusion about the fact that Lockheed Martin Corporation is behind and working and involved in the processing of the information, whether it's called the census or whether it's called the National Household Survey. The National Household Survey, if it follows the questions of the long census form, will ask a lot of questions about your ethnicity, a lot of questions about your sexual practices, a lot of questions about things like your home. And the government has said that they only use that information in the aggregate. However, the form that I was supposed to fill out did ask questions very specifically, such as what is the name of your employer. So that gets beyond being just aggregate information. It is useful to know what the law is. We have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Under the Charter of Rights, the government cannot force citizens to hand over what is called a biographical core of personal information. I've been on trial over that issue, and the lower court decision is currently under appeal. The lawyer is very knowledgeable, and if you read the law on it, I don't think that there's any doubt about the fact that the charter right overrides the Statistics Act, and that right, as I say, does guarantee that the government cannot force you to hand over a biographical core of personal information. The reason for that protection is that historically, governments that collect detailed information on citizens are or become police states. It's an absolute characteristic. It's why we have that charter protection, because people recognize the danger you get into. And I would say the danger is double when you have the American military-industrial complex in the form of Lockheed Martin Corporation involved in the Canadian census. I think that each person needs to look at ways in which they might protest or the actions that they might take. It's very important to let other people know that Lockheed Martin is involved in that work. The government is collecting more and more information on citizens. That's not in debate at all. And who Lockheed Martin is very important. The kinds of protests that happened in 2006 and that will happen again in 2011 in even greater numbers than before, because many more people are aware. That simple reason will add to the thousands of people who are already protesting. Sometimes there are greater dangers. You cannot give away freedoms. You cannot be naive about what will happen down the road. You have to, it's advisable to know the history of what happens, and the statistics are valuable, but the information is still in our communities, and it's available in lots of different ways. It does not have to be enforced through through Statistics Canada, and you should never be threatened with things like jail. And people have said, well, nobody's ever gone to jail, but that is a coercion that they use. Believe me, I know. I've been on trial, and what they tell you repeatedly is you will be prosecuted, you will and that carries with it the potential of a $500 fine plus up to 3 months in jail. So in closing, I invite you to join with thousands and thousands of other Canadians, the numbers mounting every year, who are saying, no, we will not be complicit with, we will not be enablers of Lockheed Martin Corporation, which is the American military industrial complex, involvement in number one, the Canadian Census. They have no business there. The government has no business contracting work out to them. I'm really optimistic. So many people today really do care and are seeing that we need to change some of the things that we're doing, the way that we're doing them. People are banding together. So I invite you to join with us. Make a difference. We can change things. And this is just a great opportunity to do that. There's, as I say, lots of information about how to do it. So the non-cooperation, minimal cooperation with the census is important in order to drive home the message that Lockheed Martin, the American military, has no place whatsoever, either in Canada and specifically not in the Canadian Census database. They should have no involvement whatsoever. We can make that, we can stop them, we can make that happen.